when we think about leaving the dark and going to the light, we think about the ascension process from the densification and then going up. And I have come to realize a while back that there's this process where you forfeit that thought and you actually, in the light, you start at the light and then you only propagate yourself down, like yourself from the immanence of oneness down.
So as opposed to trying to climb your way up, you just are up.
Always up.
Always up.
Always up.
And then you can dip down if you need to.
Yeah, dip down if you need to. You would actually build awareness from the down, up, on down. You would process things through higher forms of awareness from up on down.
Right. So it's kind of like a mind shift, a different perspective of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be looking at it different perspective. Do you struggle with that or not?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes it makes perfect sense. So it's one of those things that I think I'm just on the threshold of it, because sometimes it's, well, duh, it's super easy and obvious. And then sometimes I'm like, but what does that even mean? And so I waver back and forth between those.
Yeah.
But, I think I've gone through that process with a lot of things. And I think that means that I'm right on the cusp of it, or sometimes I get it and sometimes I don't. It's weird because it's like, how can something both make sense and then like 5 minutes later, it's like a black box. It's like, I think what it is my logical brain wants some sort of steps or pattern to follow, and it's there. On one hand, there isn't one, but on the other hand, it's like we'll just sort of do it, and so at times that feels like they're opposites pulling inside of me.
Yeah. This is what I think is happening whenever you think it's the opposites pulling. Like when you are, if you're down there in the ruts, right? The frequency is so dense, right? That seeing past the current set of circumstances becomes impossible because the density is so low.
Yeah, I guess it is true that it is harder when you're down there. That does make it harder.
When
but
you
even,
go like,
even when
I don't even know what that means, is because you are in complete thought of the densified form of lower vibrational patterns of fear, of unsafety, of unloved, and whatever that chart, once again, that we're referencing in that David Hawkins has in his books. And so when you're there, you almost can't even see the scale. You can't even see the progression.
Yeah.
But if you go up higher, right, then to some extent, it becomes very apparent that the density of the higher are so high in vibratory frequency that there's not even such thing as fear, as scarcity, especially if you spend enough time trying to understand why you're in fear and why you're in density of scarcity or whatever. Then you're like, oh, look, I'm there again. And if you're already higher and you go, oh, look, this is where I'm trying to go, then it's very easy to go, oh, yeah, I'm not going to let the thread go down there. And I'm just going to allow the love and care that I have for myself to come through. And then you don't need to go down into the depth and explore it and let go and work at it and try to, sit there with it, because there's nothing to sit with, because you have allowed it to become acknowledged and become present. You allowed it to be your truth. You have compassion for yourself. You have love to yourself to go, oh, look, I'm struggling with it again. And because you're up high looking at it from a higher standpoint of view, I think we already had this exact podcast now that I think about it. It just dissipates.